This is the Freeheel Life Podcast, episode number 193. I'm your host, Josh Matson, coming at you from the Freeheel Life bunker deep in the heart of Utah. Welcome back, everybody. Stoked to be here and put out another episode and get things fired up again. It's been super fun, and hopefully you enjoyed the episode. I did 192 with Mr. Craig Dostey, talking a little bit about this new TX Pro boot and some of our thoughts and feelings on boots in general. And we had a good time chatting. Before I get going today, Newsroom and Notes, I just wanted to thank everybody that's subscribed to the YouTube channel so far. I really appreciate your support as it helps me cover the costs of doing the Telemark work that I love, like the podcast, and just rad to have all of you here. I know it's a little bit different, but this is the way I would love to see this grow, is all of you out there that are interested in telemark skiing, interested in what I'm doing, being able to support it. That way I can keep it advertising free, and it's just a Freeheel Life thing, and that's what's important to me. So thanks for coming along for the journey. I had a great day out skiing last week down in Bryan Head Resort in southern Utah. I was able to produce some great new content for the channel. And I've got some of those pieces finished up and on the YouTube channel, and others are not far behind. So stay tuned for those. And I also fired up the Freeheel Life merchandise machine again, thanks to all of you that pre-ordered one of my Freeheel Free Mind t-shirts, which was a design I'd done in the past, but did them on some new color t-shirts that I really liked. And they sold out quick in most sizes. There's a few left, but I do have a restock coming in case you missed it. So be sure to go check those out on the website. Keep in mind on the website, I've now got it set up that if something is sold out, like merchandise, t-shirts, headwear, that kind of thing, used parts, everything but like used gear that obviously you can't replenish like the exact same thing. You can hit the notify me when available button and put your email in. And then once I restock it, it will email you directly and let you know that I have it again. And then you can put it in your cart and get it. So thanks for the support on all of that. I've got some other fun new Freeheel Life merchandise headed my way during the month of January, and I'm super psyched about that. So keep an eye out on the website. Also, the mailing list you can sign up for if you're not getting those. I really haven't done one since I put the blog out a little while back, but I'm going to try and kind of get that up and going again, more of probably like a weekly or a bi-weekly deal. You can sign up for it by going to the front page of the website, and you'll find how to sign up for the mailing list there. For those of you that love to celebrate World Telemark Day, this is the 11th annual, if you can believe it. It's always happening on the first Saturday in March in the Northern Hemisphere. And I recently made a new website, worldtelemarkday.com, just to separate that project a little more from freeheellife.com and kind of make it its own thing. You know, that way people from other companies or whatever can feel free to use that day to celebrate or do events and don't necessarily feel like it's specifically, you know, a Freeheel Life thing and you can't do it unless you're part of that. It's World Telemark Day. It's for everybody. That's why I created it 11 years ago. And it's a day to get out and telemark ski. And whether you want to use it for an event, like I said, a catalyst to do that, or you're a marketing person looking for something to do, or you're just rolling solo out there at your resort or backcountry area, it's something that you can do. So you can find all the media assets there at worldtelemarkday.com. Download them for your own use, as long as, not as long, also with a full press release there as well that you can pass around or send to media outlets in your area. So that's all the newsroom and notes for today. Today I've got Kate Galliette Madsen on the podcast to talk over health and fitness in telemark skiing. And this has really proven to be a topic of interest that folks on my channel have been requesting more of lately. And I wanted to have her back on to drop some knowledge for us. We've done some videos in the past talking about health and fitness because that's obviously her expertise. And also Kate and I are going to be working on some other video content to cover more health and fitness topics moving forward. So I wanted to have her on to talk about some of the more general concepts we can be thinking about as we head into 2025. She's also got a really cool transform challenge that she is starting in the new year. And if you're ready to transform your habits with food, exercise, lifestyle, and environment so you can transform your health and fitness, you can start with Kate and her Transform program. And to get more info, you can check out the link in the show notes. So, super psyched to be talking about this. I hope you enjoy the podcast. And thanks for all your support. Let's get into it. All right. Welcome back, Kate. Good to have you here and excited to have this conversation about health and fitness and telemark skiing.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here too.
Yeah, I figured coming up with 2025 just around the corner, it's a good opportunity for everybody to kind of start thinking goals for next year. We're obviously already in the ski season, and one of the things I've noticed too is I've gotten back online doing content on YouTube and creating videos. Is a lot of the videos I've done with you have really resonated with people in terms of health, fitness, how do I stay in shape, and obviously, sometimes your body's kind of getting beat up on the hill, and how do we avoid injury and that sort of thing. So I'm excited to tackle some of that conversation today. So I guess just for people who do you want to give just a quick bio, just like a little bit of background for people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a personal trainer for 23 years now. I got a BS in exercise science from Valparaiso University and a minor in biology. So I have been just immersed in this world of the human body and how do you make it do stuff for a really long time now. And of course, I've been passionate about that for helping other people. I always thought, yeah, I want to help other people. But also, a big part of my story was helping myself. I was an incredibly unwell individual for the majority of my early years. And by the time I was 21, doctors were telling me that's just how you are, like sick, chronically infected with various infections that then they gave me antibiotics for, um, gut issues that were crazy, just like lethargy and lassitude and just feeling horrible. And that didn't compute for me at 21. I was like, that's just how you are. What? That doesn't make any sense. And thankfully, for that little bit of a, fighter spirit I had, I was able to use that to propel myself onto my own journey of trying to figure out my issues. And actually, that's really where my journey started with leading me to this holistic approach that I use today because bodies are not just organs and tissues and bones. They are all interconnected, both the inner ecosystem and ecology that is going on inside of you, but also how the outer ecosystem of the world you're living in is influencing what's going on inside of you. And so I just first was on that journey, passionate to heal myself. But then the more I was studying and learning, I was like, this is the most profound information in the world. Like I felt like I was just immersed in the coolest thing that we have this body that you can make it do different things and heal it, and you don't have to be stuck with chronic conditions and so on and so forth. And so that led me to just continue studying for 23 years. And thankfully, to all of the personal training clients I've had, they've either been people who have said, "Oh, you know something that I need to know," or "I think you know something that I need to know." And in both cases, it's true because either I already had information that I'm like, "Oh, you have a digestive issue. Let me give you some suggestions that you could consider if you think you might want to improve your digestion." And for some of the clients that would tell me their life story, and I'd be like, I'm going to need to do some research on that because I'm fascinated by that. And fundamental belief of mine is we live by the signal response principle. So surely there is something we can do, even for the most complicated case, to help you feel better or to live better, if not to solve the issue, to get you to a better place. And I should probably caveat that if people who don't know the signal response principle, it's crucial that you do because it's a fundamental principle your body lives by. So the signal response principle says that our bodies are always responding to the signals they receive every day until you die. And that's true. That response will slow down as you age, but not even close to the slowdown that most people think happens. I think most people would be thrilled, hopefully, to learn that at the ages of 40, 50, 60, 70, all the way up into your 80s, you can change your cells, your tissues, your organs, your function, your mind, everything. Um, just by changing the inputs that you send into your body. So that's led me to where I am today. I'm an author of those books back there, and I train clients in person, and I have an online program called Transform, and I just eat, sleep, and breathe this kind of stuff.
Love it. And no, thanks for giving that. And um full disclosure, we live in the same household, so I get to benefit from all this because I'm sort of the Cro-Magnon version of Telemark skier guy. And I, part of why I've seen people really vibe on the videos that Kate and I have done in the past. And I just continually think, especially getting older, now I'm in my 40s. I think a lot of the people watching the content are somewhere in that age group and probably higher. There's definitely some younger people too, but what's become more important to me is, in my 20s I'm skiing like 100 days a year, and you have these crazy goals, and you're doing the thing all of the time. But I think the reality of life is that, people are working, they have jobs and families and all of these things going on. And I know, living in the same household with you, one of the things I've been able to benefit from, and I always feel really great about, is sort of this holistic view of health, and how that makes it so I enjoy my time on the mountain. And I think that's what's really cool about being able to do some videos together. So
Yeah,
I'm
well, I'm happy to share that too. And really I hope people can get behind the idea of a holistic approach because actually it makes it easier to do the thing. You just have to be really aware of the signals you're sending. But when you use a holistic approach, everything is synergizing together to assist you in being your best self, whatever that is that you're aiming for. Um, when you're not living holistically and you're trying to do some form of exercise or a diet or something that like you're doing for your performance or your health. But you're not addressing these other areas that, like I said, inner biology is being influenced by outer biology and it's going back and forth all of the time. So if you're not addressing some really key things amongst that whole holistic paradigm, you actually make it harder on yourself. You could be dieting your face off. You could be running every single day. You could be doing weights or whatever, like whatever you're choosing to do. But it's not, it's like one path and there's like a whole bunch that you need to address. And I try to just streamline that for folks because most of my clients are um, working still in some capacity. Either they're like an owner, founder, or they're, kind of a high level person, or they're working a 9 to 5, or they're working two jobs because they're trying to, make it all work. Or they have kids that they're trying to shuttle around. And like across the board, no matter who you are, unless you're probably a child still living at home, nobody has time. Everybody is busier than ever. And so my goal is always to make these strategies really tactical so that we can do them in the real world. Hence why my business is called Fit for Real Life, because we have to be able to do this in real life. So I really hope people will adopt a holistic approach this year. And I don't want to jump ahead with the questions I know we talked about doing today, but yeah, maybe that's a good segue into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue, because I think what we're the whole goal of today's podcast is to talk about um what we can do to begin thinking about our body in terms of overall fitness for the new year. And I guess let's start there. I guess just in general terms, because like I said, Kate and I are gonna team up and start doing uh more specific videos for our YouTube membership content, and those might be more specific exercises, or maybe like a workout routine. I mean, there's a vast array of stuff that we can do, but I wanted today to kind of get your perspective on what we can do in terms of overall fitness. What can we start thinking about for 2025?
It's a big question too, right? Because in this audience might be folks who are like, I want to get off a medication. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to finally stop binging out and eating the right. I want to eat the right foods. I want to be faster on the hill. I want to be able to ski more days without pain. I want my knees to feel better. Like we've got a whole gamut of people in front of us. But the number one thing I think people can do, no matter what their goal might be, is to really start adopting the signal response principle and start looking around at everything that you're doing and asking yourself, is this influencing my body in the way that I want it to? And if I don't know the answer to that question, you better go find out. So, people like myself and this content we're talking about and the things that I share in the coaching world can help you really start to get a sense of like, if I'm eating a certain way, am I actually performing better on the hill or am I feeling tired and lethargic? If I'm strength training a couple of times a week already, um, am I actually getting better in the gym? Like if you're not seeing measurable change in your body within the span of, in some cases, a week of something you're starting to do, or 8 weeks, if you've been doing it consistently, you need to really reconsider that. I see a lot of people spinning their wheels doing a lot of things but not really seeing the measurable, tangible changes that should be happening with that. Um, and that can be really frustrating and make people not really want to keep going. So the first thing I would say is start looking at everything you're doing and asking yourself, is this giving me the response from my body that I actually want to have? Then second from that, that's kind of like a almost like a journal about it kind of thing. You can kind of ponder on that and reflect. But then tangible action items, I would say that a lot of folks really need to start getting their sleep in order because if you want to control your cravings, you want to control your appetite, you want to have a faster metabolism, you want to have better recovery, you want higher testosterone or estrogen or whatever a balance of your sex hormones. If you want to have growth hormone, even as you're finishing up, middle age life, um, you have to sleep better. Period. You just have to sleep better. You have to go to bed earlier. You have to sleep more deeply and consistently, and you need to wake up and be able to see the sunrise whenever that comes up here in wintertime. That's obviously quite a bit later, but that's probably the number one thing I would say for folks. You've got to start sleeping better.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I think a lot of times, yeah, sleep is a big one. I know when I met you, it was so funny. I'm like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like I'm just gonna go, 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 go. Um, but one of the things I like about telemark skiing too, and why I gravitated towards this holistic approach too, is because I feel like telemark skiing of all the snow sports, it really requires sort of this full body mind experience. And as cliche as that might sound, it's it's very involved, like the way your body is moving, and it's not just muscles and tissues, but it's also you've got to be thinking. You've got to have a clear head to be able to put all the pieces together to get to be a better skier, to get down the mountain. Backcountry skiing, even, there's a lot of cognitive stuff that goes along with that in terms of, making decisions and where you're going to go and that sort of thing. So I love the idea of bringing a more holistic approach to the types of videos we're doing too, because I think that's a really cool thing. And hopefully people that are listening out there can, yeah, kind of take stock of, hey, what happened in 2024? How have I even ever approached fitness with my skiing? Because maybe in today's age, I think people maybe think a little bit more about it. Um, I know in my earlier days, I, I, I wouldn't have associated telemark skiing with fitness. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. Um, so what I wanted to ask you next was for those people that are maybe only skiing 1 or 2 days a week, which is pretty common. Sometimes people think, especially the loud people on the internet, I think are sort of like it makes it seem like they're skiing literally 100 days a year. And that's great. I mean, if you are, that's amazing and that's a really cool goal to attain. But I think the average person out there, you're maybe skiing on the weekends. That's a typical thing. You're working a regular job during the week, and then, you're going to the ski house on the weekend, traveling to a place, and maybe you're getting one backcountry day a weekend before. So what types of exercises in general terms should we focus on during the winter months to keep us in shape?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're skiing 1 or 2 days a week, um, of course it depends on the hill and if you're in backcountry or not, if you're lift served or whatever. But to me, coming from a personal trainer perspective, where I'm looking at the amount of load a body's going to have to deal with and recover from every single week, I would count 1 to 2 days a week as like pretty much your strength training stimulus. So I would fill in 1 day a week of strength training to maintain muscle mass that I've hopefully put on in the off season. I would do that 1 day a week, strength training in the gym, hitting a full body routine. I would make sure I was doing that because we definitely will be losing muscle mass if we aren't actively working to maintain it. Sometime on the hill is going to maintain some of that lower body for sure, some of that lower body muscle, not so much upper body muscle. So we need to be in the gym working on that. I also would, if we're however we're skiing. If we're skiing semi-hard to hard, something that makes you get a little bit out of breath, or a lot out of breath after each lap, then I would make the rest of my cardio some zone 1 and zone 2 cardio, and that could be however long you have time for on the other day. So 10 minutes would be the minimum to get some basic heart health benefits. Up to an hour would be better.
Tell the people zone 1, zone 2, just in case there's someone out there that's not caught up on that.
Yeah, so the zone 1, zone 2 phrasing, terminology comes from the 5 zone um, process that we use in heart rate training. So when we look at the 5 zones, we're looking at, and some people use a 6 zone, but we're just going to stick with the more common 5 zones. It's basically divvying up your heart rates from your kind of normal resting heart rate. Like right now, we're awake. We're not resting heart rate like we're sleeping, but we're like moving around, basic heart rate to your maximum heart rate. And we break it up into 5 zones that are in percentages of maximum heart rate. So zone 2, for example, has become incredibly popular with your, thank goodness, because of its amazing capacity for increasing your mitochondria density. Mitochondria are necessary for metabolism. They're necessary for life. When they get dysfunctional or you don't have very many of them, you will have very poor performance on the hill or in the gym. You will also have health conditions. So zone 2 actually increases the number and the density of the zone 2. It also makes them more efficient at working. So with zone 2 cardio, not only are we getting mitochondrial benefits, but we're also getting increase in fat burning capabilities as well. And then tertiary to that, we're also getting heart healthy training and performance without an intense load on the joints. So the joints should not be getting exhausted by zone 2 cardio. You should not be getting joint pain. It should be very restorative. Zone 2 falls between 60 and 70% of our maximum heart rate. You do have to find out what your maximum heart rate is for a true zone 2, but there are a lot of ways to estimate it if you don't want to go find your maximum heart rate, which is as uncomfortably terrible as it sounds to do, but you only have to do it once every 6 months or a year. Zone 1 would be below that. So it'd be below 60%, generally down to comfortable pace. Like we're just sitting, we're not raising our heart rate at all. And in that zone, it's all, I call it leisure walking, because you're never really going to be, I mean, if you're an elite athlete, you might be running in zone 1, but most of us will not be running in zone 1. We'll be walking at a leisurely pace. And that has just a huge amount of heart health and cardiovascular benefits for you. So improving how the cardiovascular system works, increasing your non-exercise associated thermogenesis, which is a component of your overall metabolic rate. So it increases that, you burn more calories. Also good for lowering cortisol and resolving any inflammation in the body. So if somebody's in the middle of a sports season like skiing, I'm going to assume the sport itself is going to be some of the more higher end effort. It might not all be like, maximum effort. It might be tough. It might be medium hard. It might be kind of hard. It might be long. It might be short. But it's definitely going to be higher than zone 1 and zone 2 cardio. So for folks who are in 1 or 2 days a week of skiing, I'd say, hey, can you get out most days a week and get anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour of zone 1 or zone 2 cardio? And if you'd like to figure out those percentages, just Google a calculator online and you'll be able to enter your information and figure it out from there.
Okay. So we're thinking like 1 day a week strength training, maybe 1 day a week of zone 1, zone 2 cardio, and that's
I think that would be super great. And then the third thing is to make sure you're eating and eating foods that are nutrient dense. So while we can get away with probably getting like a 7-Eleven burrito and like I don't know, a big gulp on our way up the hill when we're 19, you cannot get away with that when you're older. You will not feel good. You truly need the nutrients in your food to help you perform and recover well. So, most people, I see a huge opportunity to actually make sure they're eating enough of the right foods, both macronutrients, which are proteins, carbs, and fats, and micronutrients, which are vitally important. They're the vitamins and minerals that influence your body's ability to run the metabolism, which I've said that word a few times now, and most of you know that word through, oh, I want to lose fat, so I got to raise my metabolism. And I'm getting older, so my metabolism's slowing down, which, by the way, it's not. We actually have proven that now through the literature. You just stop moving as much, which is always kind of a delightful little thing to realize. But our metabolism also is what keeps us healthy, and it keeps us functional, and it helps us detox properly and digest and have a healthy heart and have a healthy brain. So you need a strong metabolism for all of this other stuff. So I see people having a big opportunity there as well, learning to actually eat a nutrient-dense diet and eat enough for what they're doing.
love it. Definitely lots of burritos, not so much the big gulps, but oh man. Okay, cool. That's good. I think that's and those are some of the topics we're going to try and tackle with some of these future videos. Like I said, I can tell there's a lot of interest in terms of, I'd say technique videos or the other one, but health and fitness, people really, I think, are interested in that, you know? I think we're all starting to think in a more healthy way. If, you know, I know there's people out there that have thought about that for a long, long time, but I'm excited to see that. Um, so that kind of puts the week in perspective if you're skiing a couple days a week and then maybe what you're doing on your off time. What types of crossover training do you think would be good to have in the mix through the winter months and then maybe even the off season? You know, like what else should we all be doing, yeah, during the winter?
From my perspective, people assume that I'm going to be like, you should do 5 other sports and activities. Um, and you can attest to this because you live with me and you hear me talk about this all the time. Frequently, I'm my best answer when people are like, "What else should I do?" My best answer is nothing. Focus on the basics. Hit the basics consistently, and you will be amazed at the transformation that happens in your body. So many clients of mine are like, "I'm going to do this and this and this and this," which I get it. I have been that person. That's why I can speak to this. Um, and I truly believe that is rooted in us feeling like if I feel like I'm doing more or try to actually do more, I will get more results. When in reality, going back to the signal response principle, you need the right signals sent at an intensity and consistency that is going to create some change and then done for a really long period of time. So my first answer would be don't do anything else. Just do those things. Sleep properly. That's all you need to relax. Have a nice time the rest of your time if you've got more free time than that. But if you want something else to add in, if you have time in your schedule for this sort of thing and you're recovering properly to do it, you might consider adding in something that's a little bit more anaerobic in nature. Now, skiing should probably be anaerobic for most people. You're kind of getting your heart rate up to where you're breathy or you're out of breath, your muscles are burning, then you recover and then you do it again, right? Um, but because not all of us, some of us are such good skiers, that's not going to happen. But let's assume the rest of us, normal people, where that does happen, you're already covering your low intensity cardiovascular training with the leisure walking and the zone 2 cardio. You're already covering weight training by getting in the gym 1 day a week. So then the other thing to pick up would be a day of some sort of anaerobic activity you enjoy. So that could be for those of you in the audience who do jujitsu, that would be a great choice. Rock climbing would be another great choice. Hit the indoor gym, bouldering especially because you get breathy, then you recover. You get breathy, then you recover. But if you've got a place where you can, if you still have like a skate park that is open in the wintertime and you happen to skate or ride or scooter or something like that, if you have a place where you're on bikes and it's not dangerous to be riding bikes in the wintertime, you can get out and ride some intervals on your bike. Or if you're indoors, you can do the same thing. If anyone in the family has a Peloton bike, or if you've got treadmills where you could do some intervals and you're able to do intervals, let me just caveat this without hurting yourself. I can't tell you how many people I have met who are like, I saw so and so online doing intervals and I did it and then I pulled a hammy. And I'm like, right. Because that is not it's not the influencer's fault that they showed off the sprinting that they were doing and then you followed this. No, it's nobody's fault. But we forget sometimes that to do intervals, to do things that are super intense and then super recovery, you have to have the foundation of strength and fitness to do that. So if that's not you yet, I just want you to cross that off the list for this year and let's put that as a goal for 2025. And instead, let's pick something that you can do that's a little bit safer. So for example, like rowing machine at the gym where you row hard and then you stop and rest. A stationary bike, an Airdyne bike. I think we call them assault bikes now. I've been around a while, so that we used to call them Airdynes. Get if you and again, if you do a sport like rock climbing, skating, jujitsu, things you can do in the wintertime, skate skiing, things that are relatively controlled in the environment and you're staying within your safety limit, that could be something to add in 1 day a week just to get the cross training of more cardiovascular training, but also moving your body in a different way.
Yeah. No, I love that. I know we just started climbing at home again. I love that. I feel like we've got a little bouldering wall in our garage, and that's been really nice. And then I obviously love jujitsu, so I've been doing that since 2017, and I usually get like 3 to 4 days a weekend. And for me, that's a great. It's so funny because the sort of the mastery of the puzzle side of it I associated with telemark. I felt like it had similar traits to why I got into telemark skiing. in the early days, and I could see that when I found jujitsu. I thought, man, this is really cool. This is that for me too. But the fitness side of it is, I actually think, has been really helpful for me because I I can I can kind of ski off the couch pretty well. I feel pretty good when I go on the hill, but I feel like that jujitsu sort of in like when you're what we call rolling, like when you're like actually mock fighting each other, I guess is an easy way to put it. It sort of feels like an interval, I guess, probably a similar thing. I mean, you might go like a 3-minute round and then rest for 2 or 3 minutes and then a 3-minute round. And for me, I feel like it's really improved my skiing. I still, when I go backcountry walking and hiking, I feel like I need a little more of the cardio side of stuff. But yeah, overall, I think that's great. So, um, all right. Well, when it comes to prioritizing health and fitness as a telemark skier, what are the top things we got to focus on in terms of importance as we're heading into 2025? Give me your Mount Rushmore of uh top focus.
Um, how long you got? No. Um, well, like I said when we first started, you really need to start looking at your signals and responses. Like, what is your body responding with and telling you? Because that is the holistic approach. You have to be paying attention to that and wondering, like, in my book, I talk about the explorer's mindset. You have to be an explorer and go, why is my digestion off? Why do I keep getting outside knee pain? Why do I have an SI joint that keeps going out of place? Whatever your body's responding to, you have to do that. So, I mean, the bedrock of this whole thing is you are paying attention to signals and responses and starting to think in a more holistic way about them. But if I had to pick four for my other five on Mount Rushmore, I don't even know.
Yeah, there's your history lesson. I shouldn't have said that because now you're thinking there's a specific, just whatever. Let's
There's
do
four.
top 3 to 5.
Okay, four. Um,
Your history teacher is going to be watching.
I don't even know who I had it for history. I can't remember their name. I'm so sorry. Um, I have to say my top four are for folks to think about in 2025 are four categories. Um, number one, light. You have to get your light diet in order. For those of you who've never heard of a light diet, it's the artificial and natural light that you're exposed to on a regular basis. And the reason that is the number one most important thing I would say is because of how crucial your circadian rhythm is and how responsive your body is to light. And when we have a mismatch between the light we're responding to and our biology, it really creates problems. It creates problems in sleep, injury recovery, muscle performance, digestion, glucose management, chronic disease, sex hormones that you need not just for, feeling like yourself, but also for performing in the gym and on the mountain. You really have to get that in order. So the first thing I would say is start figuring out your light diet. And if you don't know anything about that, learning about that and understanding how you're being influenced by that and then what you can do about it. Number two, I would say food, which I think everybody would be like, oh, of course she's going to say food, especially after the holidays where everybody just eats and drinks and is merry. Everybody seems to be ready to get their food in order, but here is what I would request for the new year. Most times people are like, I'm going to do this diet. I'm going to do this intense thing that is super restrictive, whatever. I am begging you to improve your food situation, your diet, your nutrients, when you eat, how you approach eating. I would invite you and really beg you to start taking a habitual change approach to that. Because if you diet and you lose however many pounds in 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, and then the diet is not sustainable enough to keep doing effortlessly for the rest of your life, goodbye to those results. And I see these are the clients I get. They're like, I have tried everything. I have tried everything. And the weight comes off, it goes back on. Or eventually it just doesn't come off anymore. And they're carrying around an extra 10 or 20 or more pounds. And that's not pleasant or uncomfortable. It feels heavy in your body. It feels harder to do everything. Doesn't make you feel super great energetically. And so what I teach with folks is taking a more habit-based approach to actually changing our diet in a way that's super reasonable for a lifetime so that we're not only lowering brain and body inflammation, but we're actually doing it in a way where we're like, this is easy. Like I don't have to diet anymore. I can just eat this way for the rest of my life. So that'd be my number two. Number three, movement for sure, because we all need to move more. We need to move in more ways. We need to also fix our aches and pains and injuries that we've picked up over the decades of getting older, which are not a normal part of aging. They are just things that happen as we aren't addressing our compensation patterns, which is what I love to help people with. And I think we talked a lot about movement today. So hopefully that's a good jumping off point for people. And then the fourth one I would say is environment. So the environment you're living in every day. And this in my world, in my coaching world, these are things like the stress exposures that we're dealing with every day, not just other people, but our literal environment. Like, is our environment creating a space where our body can recover appropriately? It has the inputs it needs to actually rest and recover. Because, FYI, guys, if we're stuck in the fight or flight response, we are not recovering. And fight or flight is not just for, oh, a tiger jumped out and I have to run away. It's for, you got a tax notice. You're having a poor relationship with your boss at work. You have a sister-in-law who you can't stand, like all the life stuff. Um, we can't recover when we're stuck in that sort of fight or flight response. So it's really important that we create an environment where we have relationships, a situation, time that we spend, leisure time that we spend doing things that make us feel fulfilled. That we actually get that in order, because it is a big missing piece for a lot of us, and I feel like really carries a lot of weight when we actually start to address it in a real tangible way. So those would be my four: light, food, movement, environment.
Love it. I think that's a pretty good overview, I think, leading into next year for a lot of people to think about. And I know you got for people that are actually watching this when it comes out or listening to it, you've got a program that is coming up too. If you want to explain a little bit about that, this is aside from anything we're doing on the channel, on our YouTube channel. And but yeah, do you want to explain a little bit about that and any?
It's such a fun program. It's called Transform, and I've been leading this program now for a while and taking through folks through a 6-week transformation in their habits so they can transform themselves. Because most of the people who show up to me have tried everything. They're like, I've done all the things and it's not working. And I am nothing if not notorious for being like, I think I have something you could try. I don't think we've tried everything. I bet I have some solutions for you. And we go through those four pillars of health, I call them, that I just told you guys about. And I lay out action items that are done every day for 6 weeks that create small change that then over time build into larger change. And we get things like weight loss, fitness, performance improvement, no more binge eating for people who are dealing with that, better sleep, better recovery, breaking through plateaus, both in the gym, on the scale, in our waistline, no more bloating, no more joint pain. We achieve these things not by doing this like radical, crazy thing that you can't keep up forever, but by having a 6-week opportunity to really just transform habits. And so when folks join that program, it's super fun. We do there's a whole program manual teaching you all the things you need to know so you can do this for the rest of your life and understand why you're doing it. And then the daily action items are part of the challenge. And we spend a solid 30 days plus a week before and a week after doing these habits and actually making it so that our body goes, oh, okay, I can respond to that. Then along with that, we do weekly group calls where I do Q&As and answer people's kind of more unique questions to their specific situation, give you a little more education and insight on what we're doing. And by the end of 6 weeks, folks walk away lighter, happier, healthier, fitter, and ready to keep going for the rest of their life. So I have a great time leading this Transform group. We're starting on January 1st for our next one, and we'll go till February 6th or 9th, I believe. And it's an amazing time for folks who want to actually learn how to eat well for the rest of their life and move well for the rest of their life and create an environment that supports restoration and strength and health and work on their light diet so that their body actually can be in harmony on the inside with what's going on the outside. This is definitely the program to do that. It's a really good time.
Yeah, no, it's rad, and I've done one in the early part when you started
Mhm.
doing it, and I can attest to it. You know, like I said, I always feel sort of like on the more normal side of just the health and fitness thing. You know, I'm not the person that's like constantly exercising and reading all the latest data. Um, but I can attest all these things are great. They've helped me, you know, especially like I said, you know, I'm getting into my 40s. I guess I'm well into my 40s now. Got to start updating my brain on that. But these are things that have helped me personally, and I'm excited to add this as part of the channel. You know, like I said, I don't think in the early days of Telemark stuff, I would have thought, oh, let's do health and fitness videos. But of course, I want to be able to ski and Telemark ski forever, you know, and I want to be able to do that my whole life. And I don't want to succumb to this idea that, oh, I'm just too old. I can't do it. My knees hurt. But like you said, these signals that I need to put into my body, that all of us need to put into our body, are so important. And I think developing the habits is the key to all of that. Um, so if you're listening to this in December of 2024, be sure to go check out the Transform. I'll put it in the show notes for you to check out. And if you're listening sometime later on, I'll have Kate's info there, and then obviously she's going to be doing some awesome content with me on the channel in terms of more specific exercises and all sorts of stuff. And maybe we'll get back into the light stuff. And I know I've been having a lot of fun learning a lot about this stuff too, so I wanted to share all with you. So
Well, cool. Thanks for having me. It's been a really good time talking to you guys, and hopefully, there's at least one nugget in here for everyone who listens.
I love it. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Kate. Talk to you later.
Thank you.